So your name is Nikki Cullerton. Is that how you say your last
Yeah,
name?
yeah,
Okay.
it is.
So Nikki and I met online, and so I've been doing social media stuff for over 10 years now.
That's a long
And
time.
yeah, but like not until last year did the algorithm pick my stuff up. So I've just like been posting kind of to local special needs families and just people who are interested in our lives. And I had a social media friend a consultant friend who was kind of, she's like, your story really needs to be heard. Like, I mean, it's just got the potential to really reach a lot of people. So she gave me some pointers and she told me,
Okay.
to really get into the algorithm, you have to make reels. And so I hadn't been making reels. And so I just kind of started playing with it. And I've always liked, you know, making videos. And
Yeah.
I found that it was actually pretty therapeutic for me. And it was like a form of expression that just really brought me a lot of joy. And as soon as I started making the reels, like the numbers just started shooting up.
Yeah.
So, all that to say, I get a lot of messages from people, and I wish I could respond to all of them. But every now and then, the message will come in at the right time, and I'll have like a moment to myself, and I'll open it.
Yeah.
And yours was one of those messages. So I thought that's really cool because I get messages all the time, not
Yeah.
to the degree that people think, because they like will see the amount of followers and think, oh, you just get hundreds of messages every day. I don't. I
Mhm.
probably get a handful a day, but even that's
Mhm.
challenging for me to because when I respond, I want to respond
Yeah.
meaningfully. Like I don't just want to like heart it or like because most of the messages are really sad. I'm like, I cannot
Oh,
just like give a thumbs up. I've got to actually take time to respond to this person.
yeah.
So anyway, so I just think it's really cool that like I happened to open yours, happened to be able to respond, and we
Yeah.
chatted. And of course, your story really hit struck a chord in me because as you're going to share about how CPS has been called on your family, and we have had
Yeah.
4 cases,
Yeah.
and this is just something I feel very passionate about, just exposing, and not in the sense of that anyone is doing anything illegal, but just
Yeah.
opening up the conversation and helping people understand what's worth calling CPS over and what is not,
Yeah.
and how it really deeply impacts families like yours and mine. So,
Exactly.
so you just tell us your story, and
Okay.
yeah, go for it.
Okay. Um, I'm so sorry. My kids are jumping in and out of the
That's
room, so
okay.
I
That's not going to
apologize.
bother anybody.
Um, so my daughter, she is 6 years old, and she was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. And so she has a severe speech delay, and she has behavioral issues and stuff. But yeah, so we have had CPS come to our house 4 times. And the first time, Elizabeth likes to elope, although we have locks on our doors and we have alarms on our doors, she still can get out. And the first time that she got out, she actually ran down to a neighbor's house and was playing on their swing set because she loves to be outside. And so instead of our neighbors just bringing her back, they like actually took her for a walk, like way down the street, and they called the police and they called CPS on us. So that was the first time, and that just like floored my husband and I, like because these people knew who we were.
Mhm.
They knew our daughter Elizabeth, and they called CPS, and I couldn't fathom why somebody would do that. Like,
Yeah.
yes, she got out of the house, and I'm grateful that somebody found her and she did not get hurt. But I mean, to us, you don't call the police or you don't involve CPS unless it's like an emergency. And I just couldn't believe that somebody did that. So that was the first time. And um, yeah, so that shocked us. But since then, there's been 3 other incidences where CPS has been called, police have been called because Elizabeth has gotten out. She likes to run like towards a busy road, and so each and every time, CPS is actually very compassionate, and they're always so sorry that they have to put our family through this.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That's how they have responded to us as well.
Yeah, because they realize, they understand that it was just an accident that Elizabeth gets out of the house, and that we're not bad parents and that we're not doing anything wrong. But this last time, the police had come. People didn't call CPS. The police came, and I was talking to the police.
So why did the
And
police come this last time? Sorry, I just want to make sure.
yeah, they came because somebody in the neighborhood called the police on us. Even though Elizabeth was returned to our home, somebody chose to call the police and said that there was a little girl running around the neighborhood. And so when I spoke to the police, uh, and I was making the point to the police, like, I wish, like, you guys and my neighbors would, instead of like jumping the gun and calling the police or calling CBS, that they would, have a conversation with us or come talk to us first before you jump the gun and do that. The one police officer told me that she actually thought that she should be pressing criminal charges against me and my husband.
This was a woman officer?
Yeah. And
Wow.
I was totally in tears because I'm like, because she thought that I wasn't concerned about our daughter and that I wasn't concerned for her safety, that I was more upset that people had called 911. And it
You can be
wasn't that.
upset about both. It's just
Yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, this last time, it was really, really upsetting to me because the police officer then looked at me and says, I'm going to call CPS. And I asked and kind of begged her, please don't do that because it's traumatizing,
Yes.
not just to my husband and I, but to my other kids. They show up at my kids' schools
Yes.
and have to pull them out of school and interview them. And my other kids don't understand why they're doing that. And so it's a little scary, to be honest with you. And this isn't the last time that Elizabeth will do this. She does it a lot, She
Yeah.
loves to go outside. So to her, she's just playing. She's doesn't know a sense of fear or a sense of danger.
Yeah.
So to her, she's just playing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It really is so traumatizing, and that's what I want people to understand too, is how it deeply affects the entire family.
yeah,
When we have had CPS come, they too have been very compassionate toward us, but they are bound by the law to do
yeah,
certain things,
yeah,
and they aren't the bad guy, but it is the questions that are asked to the children, and just when an unfamiliar car pulls up, like my
yeah,
kids are on alert. They're like, "Who is that?"
yeah,
And some have asked before, "Is that CPS?" And it really is. It's very sad, and I've talked about this before, but like the already the weight that we bear every single day of worrying about our children's safety, the feelings of isolation, the feelings of rejection, and
yeah,
then it's like something like this happens, and you're just like, really, like come on,
yeah,
like I'm already in such a difficult. I'm already walking such a difficult road. It's like
yeah,
someone pushes you while you're down, and Yeah, I mean it's heartbreaking, and the thing that is very frustrating too is that I feel like people just think, well, just put up a fence or just just put in all the safety measures,
Mhm.
and you and I both know that they can jump fences, they
Yeah.
can figure ways around them, they
Yeah.
can figure out how to unlock
Yep.
the locks. They of course, then they get bigger and they're
Well,
stronger.
she gets bigger and stronger, and she is smart. She might not be able to communicate and speak, but she is smart and she can figure out things. She understands how to unlock doors,
Yeah.
open the garage door. I mean, she knows how to do all that
Yeah.
stuff. So, yeah.
There's always like a like there's just never one pat. I mean, and I feel like the people on the outside just go, well, just do fill in the blank. But you have to understand that
Yeah.
a home is complex. A home is living. A home is variable. A home is not an institution. So
Yeah.
you don't have doors that lock themselves as you walk out. You
Right.
don't have like protocols in a home. You have everyday life happening. You have kids in and out of the doors that
Yeah.
don't know how to lock it behind them. It's just life happens.
Mhm.
Life
Yeah.
happens, and you just want that grace from you know from the community. Um,
Yeah.
here's like what I want to say to people who just want to be so quick to call CPS is, do you really think that my child is better off without me? I think that's what you need to ask yourself,
Yeah.
like when you're going to call, because that's a real possibility. Like we have gotten
Yeah.
so used to making reports that you
Yeah.
forget, like, I'm jeopardizing this child's security in their home. Like, I don't know what agent or whatever they're called, caseworker, is going to get sent to that home, if they're going to be a
Right.
nice caseworker, or they may have some sort of complex towards someone like me and
Yeah.
unfairly take my child away. But like we had one of our most brutal cases not that long ago, and it was just a long laundry list of really nothingness. I mean, it was just petty, and the CPS worker was the exact same way. Just like, I'm really sorry that I have to read this to you. I am really sorry that I'm here, and I just wish
Yeah.
that this person who had made the report could hear that person saying that and how petty it came
Yeah.
across to CPS. But anyway, I just want people to understand, like, is that really what you believe, that like removing all my children from my house is actually within their best interest, or are
Yeah.
these just things that bother you? Just things that
Yeah.
bother you about someone. Like, look at the depth of the potential outcome of this.
Yeah.
Look at the traumatic impact that it could have on children's lives before you just pick up that phone
Yeah.
and call. So did the elopement, like, has she always eloped, or is that a new thing?
No, I mean, she's been doing it for uh 3 or 4 years now. Yeah, she started doing it when she was really little.
Yeah.
And, she just, we do worry because she is getting bigger and stronger and we'll be able to figure more things out. And, yeah, I'll tell you this other story. Um, I actually had she was in kindergarten last year. We had her in a special ed class last year. And the school actually falsified a report and called CPS on us
Oh, wow.
because we were disagreeing with um, the Committee on Special Education. My husband and I were disagreeing with what they thought was best for her. It's the struggle of, do the parents have the right, or do the school has the right?
Yeah.
Well, we were just disagreeing. And because of that, and because they were just trying to strong arm us, they used CPS as a weapon, and they made false reports and had CPS come to my house. And so at that point in time, my husband and I withdrew her from school because
Wow.
I didn't could not trust anybody at that school no more.
Yeah.
Not the committee on special ed, not the principal at the school. Like I couldn't trust nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
once that trust is broken at a school,
Yeah.
it takes probably some removal of people in
Mhm.
administration for you to regain that trust, because that's where we have been for a long time. Do you want to give more details about that, or can you? Because that's a very, very interesting topic to me, about the disagreeing and why they thought that
Um,
that was an appropriate response.
yeah. So let me try to explain this. So they wanted to put Elizabeth in a 12-1-1-3-1 class, which just meant that it just had a whole lot of extra aides and teachers in it. It was a lot. My husband and I went and viewed the classroom several times before the school year was going to start, and we didn't want her in that classroom because we wanted a classroom that had structure. Like
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth needs structure. She needs discipline, structure. The class was like complete chaos. They let the kids just kind of do whatever they wanted to do, jump off desks and chairs. And I did not want her in that. I wanted it in a more class that was going to have to sit at desks and you were going to have to follow, whatever the class was doing. As hard as that would have been for Elizabeth, that is what my husband and I at least wanted to try to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they agreed at the beginning of the school year to let her try the 12-1-1 class, but they kept they just never wanted to work with her. They kept sending her down to the nurse's office, and then she'd fall asleep, and then they'd like call and say she's sleeping at school, and so you have to come get her. And
Mm.
so they kept wanting to have meetings on top of meetings, and it was only to remove Elizabeth from the school. And my husband and I took a stand and said, no, we want her here. And she was starting to improve. And then, so she made it to she made it to Christmas and the Christmas break. And then it was the week that she went back to school after Christmas break that, that they called CPS on us because we were just disagreeing. And they made up a whole bunch of that we were being neglectful of Elizabeth, that we weren't taking her medical needs in care. And
What medical
gosh,
needs were they referring to?
okay, so well, because she would fall asleep at school, that they said that they diagnosed her with a sleep disorder, and they said that we weren't doing anything about it. But my pediatrician had been involved in all of that, and she was just young at that time, and she gets up super early.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a medical condition; it's just something she outgrew,
Yeah.
and yeah. So yeah, there was just stuff like that, and the fact that we didn't. They just they said things like because they just made stupid claims like we didn't have a car seat in our car. My husband didn't buckle into the car.
Which was not
Just
true.
none of it was true, and I
Wow.
debunked everything. And the CPS lady that came to my home, she could tell I had been upset for several days, and she apologized. I mean, I had the CPS lady she gave me a hug and said, "I'm so sorry that you're going through this." And yeah, so we pulled her out of school. This year, she's in the same school district, but we got her moved to a different school, different people, different principal, different everything. So yeah, it's just shocking to me that a school would do that.
Yeah.
Not only regular neighbors and regular people in the community, but a school,
Mm-hmm.
because you're supposed to be there to protect my child. Like when they're at school, that is your job, is to take care of them, to teach them, to care for them. And these people weren't doing that. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
I think you probably could echo this, but in our experiences, not with every person in our district, but there have been some key players where I have felt like they don't trust me as a parent. They
Yeah.
don't think that I can do this without them.
Yeah.
And I find that incredibly insulting and incredibly overreaching,
Yeah.
and really it's a core belief that is just such. We have obviously have core beliefs that are hugely clashing, because I believe that the parent should have, complete control and authority over your own child. And they'll say
Yeah.
it. They'll say it all day long. Well, you're the parent. You're the parent. You're the parent. But when push comes to shove, they begin to not treat you as though you are the legal authorized
Right.
representative or guardian of that child. They begin to
Yeah.
say things almost threatening in a way,
Yeah.
that make you feel threatened as a parent. And I'm becoming more and more aware of it, and more passionate about just exposing it.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting with one of our administrators years ago when we had a call, and it was something over a picture my son had drawn that was a silly picture, and they turned it into something that was, like, oh, well, he must have been abused. So,
Yeah.
and then that investigation was very traumatic for my children, because they had to, ask them very personal questions that, like,
Yeah.
they couldn't even really answer because they were so young. But I remember meeting with one of the administrators after that call was made, and just saying, can we get some more autism training? Can we maybe educate people better on things that you may see from an autistic person that aren't necessarily signs of abuse. They are very normal displays of their disability. For instance, like this was so crazy to me. So during that particular investigation, they had to take Jude in a room by himself, and this was a sexual abuse investigation, is what this was, because my son had drawn a silly picture. Like,
Uh-huh.
really, any fourth grade boy could draw a silly picture,
Yeah. Right.
But for some reason, because he has a disability, they thought he must be being abused. How else would he be able to draw this silly picture? And the silly
Yeah.
picture was not overtly and clearly a sexual act. They took it and ran with it.
Yeah.
And so, but anyway, so they had to bring, first of all, this is something else I want to expose, is that in that investigation, so, they have to talk to the children alone. They
Yeah.
take my child who has severe autism, who cannot communicate
Right.
well at all,
Mm-hmm.
take him in a room alone and
Mm-hmm.
question him with no advocate, with no autism specialist.
That's crazy.
And that's horrifying, because I have no idea what's going to come out of his mouth, because he says bizarre and crazy things all the
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
and we laugh about it because that's who Jude is. And,
Yeah.
on the other side of this dark glass is, a law enforcement and an investigator, and they're watching him on display. And so I have no idea what he's going to say to them. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't even get him to tell me how his day was. What
Right.
did you do today? I mean, I can't get that information out of him.
Right.
He can't communicate like that. And so after they interview all the children, and then they meet with you as parents. And so they sat John and I down, and the investigator said, well, we think Jude has been sexually abused, because, and we're like, what are you talking about? And they said,
Yeah.
well, when we showed him a picture of, and I'm going to not say the real word, but a male private part, he pulled down his pants. I'm like, I looked at her and I said, ma'am, he has autism. If you show him a picture of
Mm-hmm.
a private part, and you ask him if he knows what it is, he's going to pull down his pants and show you what it is. I'm like, if you want to talk about sexual abuse, what are y'all doing back there with my kid alone in a room? And he's pulled his pants down. I'm just like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy. Like that there, and so back to the story is that I'm talking to this administrator, begging her to provide more education to our teachers so that they understand, oh, if my kid in my sped classroom pulls their pants down, that doesn't necessarily mean that they've been sexually abused. We don't have to pick up the phone right then and call CPS.
Right.
And she looked at me and she said, well, we don't have a choice because by law, if we suspect, if we have basically any, fleeting thought that maybe this child might have been abused, we are by law, we have to call. And it's not our job to do the investigation. It's CPS's job. And I just have a real problem with that.
Yeah.
And I get that we have to have parameters in place. I get that there is a need to make calls. I get that. Yeah. But what about this demographic? Honestly, I don't know what the answer is, but I think we need to put this on the table and we need to talk about it more. And And I cried when she told me that. And I looked at her and I said, why can't we be human beings? Why can't we use our God-given common sense? Why can't you look at me and because you know me and you have a relationship with me, that we can make a decision like that? But but now it's like, because we have these laws in place, like we're forbidden to use common sense. We're forbidden to actually make decisions based on people's character and relationships that we have with them. Because I'm looking at her and I'm thinking, you know me, you know my husband, you know that we're good parents, but yet because of some, everybody's afraid of losing their job. And that's something that I want to talk about too. It's just like, we've made people so scared to death of getting fired or losing their certification that these families are getting caught in the crossfires of this. I mean, and this is real. This is real carnage here. Like I mean, in an effort to help children, we are hurting a lot of them. We're hurting a lot of families.
Yes.
And I've said this before too, like, if your first thought is call CPS and not help this family, I think that we're missing something here. We're missing the humanity part of things. And not everybody we can have a relationship with, but I would just ask that people pause even for 5 minutes.
Or come up to us and say something or ask us a question rather than jumping the gun and calling the police or calling CPS. I don't understand why that's everybody's first thing to think of to do. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's non-confrontational, ironically, because they can hide behind the call, they can hide behind the report, and they can, in their minds, seek justice. But in my opinion, most of the reports that were made toward us were actually rooted in vindication and really spite, and just out of, just like, I don't like them, and I think people, like, the more attention, our family gets, I think just certain people, they want to have a gotcha moment. They want to go, they aren't who they say they are. There's got to be skeletons in their closet. There's got to be something wrong, and I think people want to be the person to call it out. But, back to the elopement, I feel like so many people, and I hope that maybe some will take the time to listen to this podcast, but we'll also make clips as well. But people that have never experienced caring for a child who elopes, they just don't get it. They
No,
just
right.
don't get it.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that we want
Yeah.
or we desire. But I feel like the misconception from outsiders looking in is like just stop them. Just tell them to stop. Like there is some easy fix, or just give them medication, which everybody knows Jude's on a lot of medications, or just put a lock on the door, or
Yeah.
just build a fence, or whatever it is, and I feel like that's just this really bad misconception of the outside world looking in, is like just fill in the blank. Well, guess what? There's no just fill in the blank for people like
No,
us.
because they don't understand it because it's not their world, and so they can't comprehend
Mm-hmm.
what it's like. It's so scary when she does it, and it instead of like people just reaching out and saying, "Hey, we'll help you. We'll look out for your child." Not that it's their responsibility, but then you put on the pressure of us, the police and CPS, on top
Yeah.
of her eloping.
Yeah.
It's like a ton of weight is on us all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. And we've had that issue before too. It's like, okay, like, yeah, I know it's not y'all's responsibility. I know that. But I would hope, I would hope that if the tables were turned, that I
Yeah,
would have a heart of compassion for you, and I would keep an eye out for your child. And if they got in my yard, that I would call you and I would help that child, and then I would do it in a way that was loving, instead of like, not my problem. It's not my
yeah,
problem, and you should do better. And it's so hard. And a good community, a good neighborhood is it's hard to find people that
yeah,
really. What's hard to find is people who have not had the experience firsthand, that really get in the game with you and
yeah,
actually want to be a part of this with you, like consciously, voluntarily.
yeah,
That's who my dad was, and he passed away, and we miss him so much. But like, he chose to be in it with us, and it
yeah,
just meant so much. And we have some of those people in our lives that they choose to be in it with us, and they look out for Jude and they love Jude. And but it
yeah,
is hard. And fences are very expensive.
yeah,
They're very
yeah,
expensive. Like our first quote that we got was going to be around 10,000,
yeah,
and that didn't include our gate, and that was for an acre perimeter fence, like a ranch style fence. And then we were going to come back around it with chicken wire and put chicken wire on it. And honestly, that was like a contractor price, because we're in construction, and so like it's
that's,
astronomically more.
that's
And
ridiculous.
yeah.
Yeah,
And or I've heard people say, well, what about a tracker, or what about, I'm like,
right.
there is no like fix. Like if students get out of schools, which they do. Has she
Yeah,
eloped at the school?
yeah. She's done that at the school.
Yeah, yeah. See, Jude would do it at the school all the time. And you have people that are actually being paid to watch your
Yeah,
child. And if it's
yeah,
happening on their watch, it's definitely going to happen on your watch when you're trying to cook, or you're
yeah,
changing a diaper, or the FedEx truck comes and you're getting something, and you have to go to the bathroom. Like,
yeah,
it's just like real life happens. And so I would just ask anybody who's listening to have compassion and just try to put yourself in our shoes.
yeah,
And just know too, like, it's not something that we want. It's not something that we want to push on people. It's not like we're trying to let our kids free range. Yeah.
yeah.
But
But it is a different world because I mean, I grew up in a world where, yeah, at 5 years old, I would go down the street to my
mhm.
friend's house and nobody thought of calling the police
Yeah.
or calling CPS. It was just a different time and a different world. And people are so like, oh my gosh, I got to call CPS. There must be a problem. There must be an issue. It's just a different, I want to be able to just send my kids outside to play,
Mhm.
but I always have it in the back of my mind that somebody's going to think something's wrong with that. And I don't know. It's just crazy now.
I know it
So
really is crazy. We live in a watching world, and then you put on top of that the internet keyboard warriors who will just say vicious, like very direct things about you and criticize you as a mom. And
yeah.
yeah, so where is she in the lineup of your kids? I didn't ask how many kids you
Yeah,
have.
so I have four kids. So we have a 17-year-old, and then um, I have a 8-year-old, and then it's Elizabeth who is 6, and then I have a 3-year-old.
Okay, yeah, and that's a lot, and I get that. I totally get that because we've got a lot of kids, and we have the special needs side doubled, so it's
Yeah.
it's a lot. And Jude wasn't eloping actually for a while, and now he started up again, and so that's been
Okay.
really stressful. So we're
Yeah.
changing his medication hopefully this weekend, and we're hoping that that will help him. But Mabel is our eloper, and like
Oh,
we've
really?
had yes, and we have had some very scary things happen with Mabel. And
Yeah.
so Mabel is why the fence is going up. And we have all the siblings looking out for her. And with that many, even with that
Right.
many people here looking out for her, she still can get out. And it scares me to death.
Well, they're
So
quick.
they
They're
are.
so quick. My husband literally was putting my children's backpacks in the car, and then he was going to come back inside and get the kids to put them in the car. And between the time he brought the backpacks outside and then come back in, Elizabeth ran out of the house
Yeah.
like so quick, and he didn't know because
Yeah.
she's quick and quiet, and
Yeah.
she just got out. It wasn't that my husband was being neglectful.
Right.
It's just they're fast and
Yes.
they're quick, and they don't they don't think they're doing anything wrong.
No,
So
they're just running with the wind and ready to
yeah,
go.
yeah,
Yeah, we had one instant recently where we were letting Mabel play out in our right, just literally right next to our kitchen in the water faucet, and there was some chickens outside, and she was hanging out with the chickens. She loves chickens, and my mother-in-law was here, and anyway, we were visiting with her, and we were like going back and forth and checking on her, and
yeah.
literally we were letting her be out there. Maybe 5 minutes later, we're thinking it was anywhere between 5 to 7 to at most 10 minutes. John goes, I need to go check on Mabel, make sure she's still in that spot. And he walked out, and 2 cars come driving down our driveway with Mabel in the car.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
she had made it all the way down the end of our private drive, and it was very, very scary. And I was humiliated, and I just thought, oh no, like they're coming, like CPS is coming, like they're gonna somebody. But thankfully, nobody
Yeah.
called. One of our neighbors vouched for us, I guess, and assured the stranger that found her that we were good parents. But it's humiliating too,
Yeah.
especially whenever you don't even know that they're gone.
Right.
That's even more humiliating because we were like, why is she coming down the driveway? Like she's right over there. I mean, like we were watching her. We were going in and out checking on her. And then
Yeah.
I mean, like from the time like literally 5 to 7 minutes, like from the time we turned our back, I guess she had just taken off in a dead sprint and didn't stop. Like,
Yeah.
gosh, you're fast. I didn't know how fast you were, but and
Yeah.
and that's when we were like, okay, we just have to build a fence. It's too expensive to have one installed. And then I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if you saw one of my videos, but my church came and helped us finish building the
Yeah, it's
fence. Yeah, it
amazing.
was so
That's
sweet.
amazing.
So a bunch of men came together for a couple of weekends and they got the fence up. It's still not secure yet. So John was he's going to be hopefully putting in the post for the gate
Yeah.
tomorrow, and then we're going to be putting chicken wire up.
Yeah.
And maybe have to do something else to keep Jude
Yeah.
in. So I don't know.
Yeah,
But
it's crazy. I guarantee that it's going to happen again. I just don't know when. I Elizabeth wears an ID bracelet all the time. She lets me put it on her, and she keeps it on. It has her name, our address, and both my phone number and her and my husband's phone number on it. Just because she can't talk, if somebody
yeah.
comes up to her, she will not say her name. She won't communicate at all. So
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah, the police told me I need to like buy trackers and have them on her at all times, and I'm just I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I'm sure that that is probably something that I should do. Um,
See,
but
my thing with the trackers was always like, how would I put that on him and keep that on him?
right,
Because I don't know if she's the same way, but like Jude used to take all of his clothes off whenever he
yeah,
would be like on a, an elopement, like when he was younger.
yeah,
And so I just think he would like,
yeah. I agree. Like, where do I put it? Do I put it on her shoe? Well, she's run out of the house before without her shoes on. So,
right.
like,
Yeah.
where do I put
Yeah,
it?
I know exactly. I'm not crazy about the idea of Neuralink, but for that particular thing,
No,
that
I'm all for that too. To
yeah,
be honest,
I'm like, maybe that could solve a lot of problems. I mean, it really could actually solve a lot of problems. I think about people with dementia or people with disabilities
yeah,
that wander, and if there's some sort of tracking implantation thing that you could put in
yeah.
people, and
I
that may
mean,
sound completely inhumane to people, but I don't know. I'm just talking out of
they don't.
desperation
The
here.
people that don't understand that don't have kids that do that. So,
Exactly. Exactly. Jude, one time when we were at Walmart, when he was young and wild, and we were really getting cranked up with all his stuff, he was in a shopping buggy with, I guess, two of my other kids, and he and I had an ABA therapist with us. Anyway, he took a box of spaghetti, dumped it on the floor, and we think it really was to distract us. So we bent over to pick it up, and as we did, he jumped out, took off
oh,
running, and with Walmart, I mean, if they get out of sight, it's like you don't know what aisle they're on, and
yeah,
I just went into a panic. So
yeah.
this ABA therapist that was with me, he went to go get him. And this is a crazy story. So for 20 minutes, he was looking for him and did not tell me he hadn't found him. I guess because he was scared to tell me that he didn't find him. And so for 20 minutes, we had no idea where he was. And so I just go into a panic. So he and I, like, I'm looking around. I'm thinking, surely he's with K. I'm not going to say his name, but surely he's with K. And then I come around a corner and I see Kay and no Jude. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just start to panic. I'm like, where is he? He goes, I don't know. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So we get the Walmart manager. They call a code Adam, which means like there's a missing child, and they go to
Okay.
the exits, and I don't know if they lock them or something, but everybody goes into like search mode for the child. And so
Yeah.
I'm staying with this woman who ends up being like my favorite Walmart manager ever, because it's not the last time that she calls a code Adam for Jude in Walmart. And anyway, so she gets radioed by somebody else, and they said, we found him. He's at Chick-fil-A. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And he was like your daughter's age at this time. He had gone all the way through the busy parking lot all by himself, got into Chick-fil-A, pulled all of his clothes off. He was at the top of like the
Oh
slide
no.
area. He had like peed all down because he was overstimulated. That day at Chick-fil-A, there was like no seat there. It was packed, it was slam packed. And a friend of ours was going there to eat with her granddaughter, and she walked in and she said, well, it's pretty busy. Maybe we should go somewhere else. She said, no, well, surely there's a seat that'll open up or whatever. And so they happened to be there because Jude could not tell anybody his name either at that time.
Yeah.
He couldn't identify himself. So he didn't have a bracelet. She was able to identify him for us.
Oh
It
my
was so cool
God.
that like she just happened to be there that day. And then the
Really?
next part of the story is really cool. There were some paramedics that were eating lunch there, and police officers that were eating lunch there. And so the paramedics, somebody went out to the ambulance and got like a white sheet and covered him up
Oh
and
my
sat
God.
with him. And then the police were able to call us. And so we got over to Chick-fil-A. Oh my gosh, it was such a crazy, crazy ordeal, but it just can happen so
Yeah.
fast.
Yeah.
So fast. But how is she? Is public pretty scary for y'all? I mean, does she bolt in public?
So I only really take her to places that have shopping carts.
Yeah.
So I can put her in a shopping cart. I don't like just take her to the mall, and we just don't like walk around because she won't do that.
Yeah.
So as long as I have a shopping cart, we can go to Target, we can go to Walmart, we can go to Wegmans, but we cannot, no, because she will run. Just, she doesn't want to hold your hand. She has sensory issues.
Yeah.
And so she doesn't really like to be touched and stuff. So, yeah, so we take her out and a little bit, but yeah, no.
How does she do in the car? Does she stay in her car seat or she get out?
She will, as long as the car is moving, she stays in her seat. As
Yeah.
soon as like the car is idle, she will unbuckle and try to like open the door.
Yeah.
Like she's actually tried to do it while I was driving
Yep.
the one time.
Yeah.
Yep. Um,
Yes. Been there, done
yeah.
that, sadly. Yeah, I always tell my husband we don't idle well. Like this whole family, like if we're gonna be sitting here idle, like we got to get out of this car because
Yeah.
people are getting antsy fast. But
Yeah. So,
they have 3-point harnesses. Have you heard of them?
yeah.
Okay, that like they buckle in the back.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I probably should
Yeah.
do that.
Well, and
It scares me. Like when she does it, like we'll be sitting there. If I have to sit there and like pick up my older daughter for something, Elizabeth will be in the back. Like, and even though I have like the child safety lock on the door,
yeah,
she's still back there trying to get that door open. And
yeah,
I'm like,
yes. We had some very scary moments with Jude. Like we would be flying down a highway and he'd have the back door of our van open. And I mean, there were so many times I thought, I'm about to see my kid fall out of the back of this van. I mean, it was very traumatic, and all the kids in the car would be screaming, and
yeah,
that they just have these compulsions that they have to obey. And it doesn't
yeah,
matter how much you threaten them or how much you call them back. And it's hard. It's really, really
yeah.
hard. And
The
you're,
other thing that I try to do too, if we take her out in public, I mean, and like I know people are like frown upon like a lot of screen time and stuff, but she has a tablet
yeah.
that she likes to play on. And so I probably use that more than I probably should.
Well,
But
no, I approve that. I give you my stamp of approval. We use it all the
okay.
time over here. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's smart. That's a tool, that's a tool. It's different. It's just different with a special needs kid. I just feel like
Yeah.
it's just different.
Yeah. So
Yeah, you shouldn't feel guilty about that. And it's easy for me to tell you that because I deal with the same guilt about it. Because I tell myself, oh, I should engage him more with the family. I should engage Mabel more with the family and give them responsibilities. And, they're capable of more, but gosh, it takes so much effort. And
yeah.
you're trying to take care of the whole family and you're trying to just do the day-to-day stuff. And
Yeah.
that's really, really challenging. No, I don't frown upon that. And I think you should utilize that to keep them safe. And that if that distracts her from wanting to
Yeah.
get out of her car seat or get out of the shopping
Yeah.
buggy,
I do
then
use it for that.
yeah, you need to use it. That's great. Ours
Yeah.
ours are really busted up right now, so we need to get some new ones. Ours are really bad. Both of our iPads that we use for Jude and Mabel, they're in bad shape. But yeah,
Yeah.
those iPads really have gotten us through a lot for
Good.
sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Nikki, I just want to tell you that you're a good mom. You're a great mom. Yeah,
I really appreciate what you're doing. It makes me feel like we're not alone.
good.
When I started watching your stuff close to a year ago, and it just comforts us a ton
Good.
because we definitely felt like we're alone. So
Yeah.
yeah, so thank you so much for what you do.
You're very, very welcome. And I love hearing that because, as you know, I get a lot of harsh criticism. And I wish I could say I had thick skin, but I don't. So it really does affect me. So those encouraging words keep me going.
Yeah,
And I hope that you can find your people, whether they're online or in person. I hope you can find some good people in real life
yeah,
that will cheer you on. and we'll help because we do need help.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing to help. I did a video the other day on that. Like it will bless you to be around your daughter. You know,
Yeah.
she is a blessing. She's not just someone to have to take care of. Like she was made on purpose for a purpose.
Yeah.
And you know, God's got great plans for her and for your family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank
So,
you so much for joining me on this podcast. And I know that your story is going to really impact a lot of people and going to hopefully take root in many people's hearts, and good things are going to come from it. So I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing, and
sure.
just God bless you and what you're doing. And your work is so worthy and so good. And I just pray God will give you strength to keep doing it.
Thank you.
You're
So,
welcome.